Two fronts, one mission. Total American dominance. While Biden sold our farmland to China, Trump just announced the most aggressive crackdown on Communist Party property ownership in U.S. history. Every CCP-linked farm, especially near military bases, gone, finally. But that is just the home front. Abroad, B-2 stealth bombers through 37 hours straight in Operation Midnight Hammer. More details coming in from that secret operation, delivering precision strikes that had Iran begging for meetings. Trump's response, we'll talk, but from a position of absolute strength. This is not diplomacy through weakness. It is peace through power. From securing our soil to projecting might worldwide, Trump's executing a masterclass in America First warfare. No more silent invasions, no more empty threats, just results. Now watch closely. And as Trump fights to reclaim American farmland from foreign control, there is another threat to our food supply: the collapse of bee populations. The good people at Patriot Bee Best have created an educational sanctuary addressing this critical issue. These American veterans, they understand that bees aren't just insects. They are essential to our natural food chain and our national security. For less than 17 cents a day, you can support bee restoration and this show. Join the Hive at patriotbeebest.com with promo code NEXTNEWS for 25% off. Learn how honeybees benefit our food sovereignty. Discover bee-friendly initiatives and help restore America's agricultural independence. That's patriotbeebest.com. We thank them for their sponsorship. You'll find them linked down below. So this just in, the Trump administration has just announced a complete and total crackdown on Chinese Communist Party-linked ownership of farmland nationwide. Eric Darty reporting this is existential. We've been talking about this for a long time. All of this property being bought up around military bases owned by the Chinese. Why would they want that? Oh, we can only guess. Meanwhile, you got balloons floating over the country. Well, they have now declared we're taking back our American farmland. Check this out.
Today, we are taking this purpose and our American farmland back. American agriculture is not just about feeding our families, but about protecting our nation and standing up to foreign adversaries who are buying our farmland, stealing our research, and creating dangerous vulnerabilities in the very systems that sustain us. Reshoring and nearshoring our food and agriculture supply chain is essential for our nation's security. In coordination with the White House, the Departments of Treasury, Defense, Homeland Security, and Justice, as well as state governors, state agriculture commissioners, local, tribal, and territorial governments, today we announced the USDA's National Farm Security Action Plan. This plan includes 7 key action items, and there's a lot of people here that I want you to hear from, so I'm not going to go one by one, but just very quickly. It's on our website. The press has gotten a preview of it, and we can ask some questions once we finish the main program. But very quickly, and perhaps the most important, the first of the 7 is securing and protecting American farmland ownership. Actively engaging at every level of government to take swift legislative and executive action to ban the purchase of American farmland by Chinese nationals and other foreign adversaries. Standing on the shoulders of great governors, 3 of whom are standing behind me, who have already been leading the way on this issue. And at the federal government level, working to do everything within our ability, including presidential authorities, to claw back what has already been purchased by China and other foreign adversaries. Additionally, working with the Treasury.
How the hell did they let that happen? I mean, these guys, whoever approved these deals, sleep at the wheel. You don't, these guys are linked to the Chinese Communist Party. They want to buy up all this land next to our missile silos. Yeah, let them buy it. Sure. Who does this? Traitors. That's who. And finally, President Trump addressing this. We've been screaming about this for years, literally for years, as the farmland just kept getting bought up, parcel by parcel by parcel. I mean, Dr. Phil was talking about it. Okay? Dr. Phil. My goodness.
the Secretary of the Treasury, along with our Defense Department, on memorandums to ensure that moving forward, there is a much more intentional look at who is buying what in this country and from where they are in the world. Today, we are
finally, here is the Secretary of Defense. Hegseth says he is joining in on the crackdown of China-owned farmland.
Who owns the land? I want to know who owns the land around our bases and strategic bases, and getting an understanding of why foreign entities, foreign companies, foreign individuals might be buying up land around those bases. That's something I should be paying attention to on behalf of the American people, on behalf of my department, and on behalf of the president. It's common sense. And so food security, just like energy resilience, just like where we get our water, that's all national security, especially in a contingency. So we would be asleep at the wheel if we were not fully a party to an effort like this to ensure that our nation had the food supply it needs. But specifically, our troops have what they need on our bases, so that in those moments you can rely on us here in the United States to provide that security. So no longer can foreign adversaries assume we're not watching, and we're not paying attention, and we're not doing something about it, because we are. So, Brooke, thank you very much. I want to know.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Here's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff 24 hours ago talking about a peace deal in Gaza. This is on a different front, equally as important.
And ceasefire. Mr. President, there was an incident in northern Gaza today, right around the time that the Prime Minister was meeting with the Secretary of State. This was Steve Witkoff. Does that, a number of IDF soldiers reportedly have been injured, possibly killed, does that in any way put a wrinkle in ceasefire negotiations with Hamas?
I don't think so. They want it. They want to meet, and they want to have that ceasefire. So I don't think so. Steve, could you respond to this? You know about it?
Well, I think it's terribly unfortunate. Terribly unfortunate. We were just talking about it, how tragic it is, but we have an opportunity to finally get a peace deal, Mr. Prime Minister, as we discussed, and I'm hopeful for it very quickly.
Mr. President.
Now, as you know, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. today, conveniently the day after they closed the file on Epstein, who everyone says was a Israeli intelligence asset. But I digress. At least there is a discussion of peace on the table here. Now, you guys know about those B-2 bombers? Well, here's President Trump talking about Iran.
Support. You have asserted that there's complete and total destruction of the nuclear facilities. So what is the basis of the talks going forward? Is it to cap future nuclear activity? Is it ballistic missiles, terror support, economic-based opportunities? What are the
It's really a good question, because if you remember when it was done, I sort of said, what's the purpose of talking? It's been knocked out completely. But they've requested a meeting, and I'm going to go to a meeting, and if we can put something down on paper, that will be fine. That'll be good. I think they've gained a lot of respect for us. I think they've gained a lot of respect for Israel also. But they would like to meet, and we're going to have a meeting. Steve, when is that meeting going to be? Do you want to say?
Rather, very quickly, in the next week or so.
So we'll see what happens. I think it would be nice to memorialize it, put it down, but because of the incredible result of that attack, if you want to call it an attack, I didn't think it was necessary to have it in writing. I think we spoke. I mean, that speaks much louder than writing. But I can also understand why they'd want it. And they've been very nice. They've been very respectful. And it began by them telling us about 14 they had to do. You know what 14 represents, right? Do you know what 14 represents? Right? You know that, right? The number of bombs dropped. So it was, representative. We got them all.
So, looks like talks with Iran are going to commence within the next couple of weeks. Here's a reporter asking a question. What might make you have the desire to do another strike on Iran?
Do that.
On future strikes, what can you say? What might make you have the desire to do another strike on Iran?
Another what?
Another strike on Iran.
I hope we're not going to have to do that. I can't imagine wanting to do that. I can't imagine them wanting to do it. They want to meet. They want to meet. They want to work something out.
Can you say
no, they're different. They're very different now than they were 2 weeks ago.
On future strikes,
They're very different than they were. Here we have President Trump talking about India and Pakistan, Rwanda and Congo.
Rwanda, well, I hope so. Look, we did a job with India and Pakistan and Serbia, Kosovo, and Rwanda and the Congo, and this was all over the last 3 weeks or so, Marco, right? We did, and others that were ready to fight, and we stopped a lot of fights. I think a very big one, frankly, a very, very big one was India and Pakistan. And we stopped that over trade. We're dealing with India and we're dealing with Pakistan, and we say we're not going to be dealing with you at all if you're going to fight. And they were maybe at a nuclear stage. They're both, nuclear powers. And I think stopping that was very important. We're trying to help out with a Biden-created monster. This whole thing that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's a horrible thing, and I'm not happy with President Putin at all. But this is something that would have never happened if I were president. This is a war that was never going to happen. Go ahead. Well, I hope so. Look, we did it.
Moving right along here. Here is the Secretary of Defense discussing Operation Midnight Hammer.
From those B-2 pilots, truly a historic mission.
Now, this is from the cabinet meeting just a few hours ago.
Truly a historic mission and demonstrated the skill and courage of the United States military. From those B-2 pilots and families that we had a chance to meet, sir, to the fighter pilots, to the refuelers, to the maintainers, to the air defenders who defended the base. What was demonstrated on the world stage was American military might and capability. And it wasn't just Fordo and Esfahan and Natanz that took notice in Iran. It was the rest of the world. That we have a decisive commander-in-chief willing to use these capabilities, which are the best in the world. As the president pointed out, no one else could have done what America did there on that night, and everyone took notice of that. The one big beautiful bill, sir, we've got $150 billion additional to invest in Golden Dome and all the other weapon systems and stockpiles and shipbuilding priorities of yours. Another month, another historic recruiting bump. It's not just the Army and the Marine Corps anymore. It's the Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force, all historically ahead of where they've ever been. So historic spirit inside the military. We had a chance to be at NATO, Marco and I, and see how the world responds to us saying it's time for you to shoulder the burden and take the lead for your continent. That only happens with President Trump leading. And we're proud to be a part of what's going on at the border, sir, with now a fourth national defense area where we're helping get to that number 0 in securing the border. But that mission, Operation Midnight Hammer, re-established deterrence. It reversed what happened in Afghanistan. You saw the debacle of what Biden allowed to happen in Afghanistan. And what that did to our image, President Trump said, with Operation Midnight Hammer, re-establishing American leadership and deterrence, and we were proud to be a part of it, sir.
Here is President Trump talking about those B-2 bombers.
It was a perfect military performance, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, if you compare that to the same country, the hostages from years ago, Jimmy Carter, was unfortunate for Jimmy. He was a nice man, but with the helicopters going down, the sandstorms, the prisoners, they got captured, then the election, and the prisoners, and Reagan, and all the problems. It was nothing but problems. And that was a failure. And ours was not only the pilots. I mean, those machines flew for 37 straight hours. They didn't stop. They went skedaddle. You know the word skedaddle? It means skedaddle. They dropped the bombs, and somebody said, skedaddle. Let's get the hell out of here. And every bomb hit its mark and hit it incredibly. And as you know, the Atomic Energy Commission said it's gone. That place is gone. We had a lot of fake reporting, mostly from CNN, where the scammer a writer for CNN, who should be fired, by the way, she was involved with the 51 fake intelligence agents, if you remember that. She did that story, created a story out of it. She created a story out of the laptop from hell, saying it came from Russia, but it actually came from Hunter Biden's bedroom, or worse. and just a scammer. And she's still at CNN, which is pretty amazing. But we'll ask you a question about her. But they came up with this concept that maybe the attack wasn't that good. Maybe and I saw it happen right after the attack. I saw this person on CNN. I like to watch the enemy. You learn from the enemy and watch, because you have to know where they're coming from. And I watched her say, Anderson, I'm hearing stories that maybe they didn't hit their target. Maybe it wasn't that good a hit. And they were hearing stories. The next day it was a little more, and the next day a little more. After 3-4 days, she was saying, I don't know. I don't think it was that. Except by that time, everybody knew it was hit perfectly. The evidence is in the planes. The pilots are the best evidence. But they actually came out of their plane, because they were here the other day, and they said, it was so sad. We did such a good job. We flew into very dangerous airspace. I'll never forget, we were in the Situation Room, and they said they have entered Iranian airspace, and everyone took a deep breath, because they had more missiles pointed at them, but the equipment is so good, it's stealth, way up in the air, and it was stealth, and they went right through that, and they sort of, by the time they found out they were there, they were already gone. That was the word skedaddle, get the hell out of here. But they were right in the most dangerous airspace in the world, and they took those big, beautiful, very fast, they're unbelievable planes. I mean, they become really beautiful works of art. I always thought they sort of were cool, but now they look better than just cool, don't they, huh? But they dropped the loads, and literally they would hit, if you look at this table, from here to there, they had a half a refrigerator door is the way to best explain it. Take a refrigerator door, average size, cut it in half. That was their target. They hit every single one. Then we had 30 missiles, Tomahawk, shot from submarines 300 miles away. Every one of them hit their target. It was a perfect mission. Then they came back, almost 37 hours. Every plane worked perfectly. The mechanics were here too. I said, you got to get the mechanics here. We didn't have any problems. It was a perfect...
Oh, man, can you believe that? Being in that Situation Room in that moment. Okay, I want to do one more. Here we have President Trump on Ukraine. That's got to end.
That was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
So if you got value for this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So why does it matter? Because sovereignty is not negotiable. When Chinese companies buy farmland near military installations, that's not investment, it's infiltration. When our food supply depends on foreign ownership, that's not trade, it's surrender. Trump gets it. Every acre seized back is a victory for national security. Meanwhile, Operation Midnight Hammer sent a message heard from Tehran to Beijing. American military might is back. Those B-2s didn't just destroy nuclear sites. They destroyed the myth of American decline. And now Iran wants to talk? In a couple of weeks? Of course they do. Because strength commands respect. Weakness invites war. And that's what we saw with the last administration. Look at all the wars that erupted under Biden. Well, Trump is delivering. The two-front strategy is working. Secure the homeland. Project power abroad. No more selling out to China while apologizing to Iran and sending pallets of cash. This is what America First looks like in action. So here is the question. Should all foreign ownership of U.S. farmland be banned permanently? Yes or no? Sound off below. And you can support American strength. Grab some Next News gear from our shop and trigger a little with it, an alligator Alcatraz shirt, President Otto pen, and check out our American Badass series at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.